Good morning. I'm Gregory Mason. Welcome to First Presbyterian Church for Olympia Brown Unitarian Universalist Church's service. I have some announcements. There are hearing assist devices available at the back if you would like one. And Reverend Danielle has some announcements, and then we'll do Jeff.
So next Sunday at 12:30, Leanne and I, that's right, both Reverend Danielle and our amazing Leanne Palmaville are leading a conversation on Article 2. This is our association bylaws. This is about our principles, our purposes. So if you're interested in joining that conversation, please sign up with Leanne. We're going to do a light lunch. It's going to be great. And then February 18th, we will be downstairs in the dining hall for service at 10 a.m. This is an all-ages service. We are celebrating the symbol of Unitarian Universalism, our chalice. So bring your chalice jewelry, bring your chalice t-shirt, bring your candles. We're going to do a blessing. The Presbyterian Church will be celebrating 185 years, so they will be upstairs. We will hold ours downstairs. Friday night, we are making chalices. All of this is in your unifier. Check it out. We'd love to see you Friday. Join us celebration on Sunday, 10 a.m., February 18th, downstairs. February 18th, 10 a.m., downstairs. Wait, where is it? And what time? Oh, have I gone over my time, Gregory? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Good morning, I'm Jeff Ciuta from the Facilities Task Force. Just want to remind you to take the survey that has reached you by email. There are links all over the place. Anything OBUUC in the last 2 weeks has had a link, so please take the survey. It takes about 5 minutes, and there are pictures. Thank you.
Be a Mystery Valentine. Children will be secretly paired with adults at OBUUC, and you, the Mystery Valentine, can place notes, treats, or small treasures in a special Valentine collection spot in the lobby during February. Deadline to sign up is next Sunday, and the sign-up sheets are on the hymnal table. The Endowment Fund Committee is soliciting applications for fund disbursements in 2024. The deadline to submit an application to the committee is February 5th at 5 p.m. OBUUC has a new team called Generosity and Engagement Ministry, and they invite you to attend one of the events set up to share stories on giving and enjoy fellowship. The 8th Principal and Social Justice Committees are collecting personal care items for students at Jersted Agerholm K-8 school. The collection box is over there by the hymnal table, and see Suzanne Landis if you have any questions. Thank you to our volunteers today, our ushers, Jan Fredrickson and Nancy Hennessy, and our Zoom host, Jody Spencer. For more information and details about these announcements, along with others and community announcements, see your weekly emails. Please join us for coffee hour in Ehrman Hall following the service. For those joining us on YouTube, log into Zoom after the service for coffee hour. The link is in today's email.
Good morning. Welcome. Welcome to Olympia Brown Unitarian Universalist Church. I am the Reverend Danielle Lindstrom. My pronouns are she, hers, and it is good to be together. Welcome, welcome friends, welcome new friends, welcome longtime friends, welcome to the friends joining us online, maybe just wave. Yay, online friends. I share this welcome from our congregation in Boulder. In all the beauty of languages, cultures, skin tones, shapes, and sizes that come together in your uniqueness, you are welcome here. In all of the ways you experience and express gender, you are welcome here. In the beauty that is who you love and how you love, you are welcome here. This is one of the promises of our faith tradition. All of who you are is welcome in our co-created and shared sacred space. It is good to be together.
We begin our service with the shared ritual, lighting our chalice, the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith. Our words this morning are by Eric Williams. Clouds swirl against a blue and orange sky. We emerge from, dwell within, are transformed by, and called back to love. May your mind be humbled before this mystery. May your heart grow hopeful by it. May you be sustained by this love always. And now please rise as you are able and join us in singing hymn number 131 in the gray hymnal, Love Will Guide Us.
And now it's time for a message for all ages. So if all the children and those young at heart can come on forward. So today I'm going to read you a story by John Lewis. John Lewis was not only an inspirational civil rights activist and a politician, but he was also a skilled storyteller. So I'm going to share one of his stories now, but I'm going to need some help from a bunch of you to act out the story. So I'm going to need children that want to act out the story. If you want to act out the story, come on and stand over here. And any adults that want to act out the story, I need you. Come on, some adults. Where's Diane Lang? I know she always, see there, she stood up. So I need you, so if you're not going to act out the story, I need you all to move back to your seat because they're going to move. Sure, come on over here. So just so you know, you are all children, okay? There are no adults in this group. You are all children. I am the only adult in this group. Are you ready? So the story is called Walking with the Wind, which is included in John Lewis's biography of the same name. So here's the story. A bunch of us children were outside my Aunt Seneva's house playing in her dirt yard. So you're outside the house playing in the dirt yard. It had been a lovely day, and all of us cousins were jumping around and being rowdy. Okay, so over here is the house, okay? Suddenly, the sky began clouding over. The wind started picking up. Lightning flashed far off in the distance. And suddenly, I wasn't thinking about playing anymore. I was terrified. Aunt Seneva was the only adult around. And as the sky blackened and the wind grew stronger, she herded us all into the house. Go into the house, children. Her house was not the biggest place around. And it seemed even smaller with so many children squeezed inside. Small and surprisingly quiet. All of the shouting and laughter that had been going on earlier outside had stopped. The wind was howling now. Let's see, here's some howling wind. And the house was starting to shake. We were scared. Even Aunt Savannah was scared. And then it got worse. Now the house was beginning to sway. The wood plank flooring beneath us began to bend, and then a corner of the room started lifting up. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. None of us could. This storm was actually pulling the house toward the sky, with us inside of it. That was when Aunt Savannah told us to clasp hands. Line up and hold hands, she said, and we did as we were told. Then she had us walk as a group toward the corner of the room that was rising. Over there by the piano, kids. From the kitchen to the front of the house we walked, the wind screaming outside, sheets of rain beating on the roof. Then we walked back the other direction as another end of the house began to lift. Oh man, the end is coming up now. Get your weight over here by the kitchen sink. And so it went, back and forth. A bunch of children walking with the wind, holding the trembling house down with the weight of our small bodies. More than half a century has passed since that day, and it has struck me more than once over those years that our society is not unlike the children in the house, rocked again and again by the winds of one storm or another. The walls around us seeming at times as they might fly apart. Walking back and forth. It seemed that way in the 1960s, at the height of the civil rights movement, when America itself felt as if it might burst at the seams. So much tension, so many storms. But the people of conscience never left the house. They never ran away. They stayed together, and they did the best they could, clasping hands and moving toward the corner of the house that was the weakest. Birmingham, Alabama is troping on black people's rights. Move over to that corner, children, and organize a children's march. And there, another corner was lifted, and we would go there. Look, Congress passed the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which outlaws discrimination based on race, religion, sex, and national origin. Head down the aisles, children. That's where you're needed now. And eventually, inevitably, the storm would settle and the house would still stand. But we knew another storm would come and we would have to do it all over again. And so we did, and we still do. You and I, children holding hands, walking with the wind. Thank you, actors. You can return your signs, and then it's time for the children's blessing.
Please join in singing our children's hymn. The words are in the order of service. There are many ways we give to the life of our church, and the monetary offering is just one of these ways. Each month, we partner with a local organization that is doing really great work in our community and share the money that we gather. Our partner for January is Art Against the Odds. Wisconsin Prison Art is Wisconsin's first exhibition of work made within the prison system. The exhibition opened in Milwaukee at the Milwaukee Institute of Art and Design in January 2023 and is currently touring. Includes 255 works by 65 mostly currently incarcerated artists. During the show's 7-month run, 7,000 individuals attended and 900 wrote letters to the artists. If you haven't had a chance to go and see it, it is a powerful exhibit, and we are delighted to be partnering with them this month. Though before we go into the offering, we're going to share a moment of gratitude. So this is anticipation of our 2024-2025 Pledge Drive kickoff. So Ruth Bradford Johnson is going to come up and share with us.
Good morning. So I've been a member of this congregation for close to 50 years. The Generosity Engagement Team, the GEM team, invited me to speak about my support of Olympia Brown Unitarian Universalist Church. I support OBUUC because of you. You are my family. You support me in the joys of my life. The birth of our twin sons, who are now 43, and their children, our amazing grandchildren. You helped raise our sons into the amazing, justice-seeking, compassionate men they are. You support me in the trials of life. Son Todd's diagnosis of Parkinson's disease at age 31, the death of parents, sisters-in-law, best friends, and now the health challenges that come with aging. I support OBUUC because of you. Together, we act on our values and make a difference in our community, our state, and our world. A difference I cannot make alone. I don't have the energy to stand up for all the causes that reflect my values, but I know that you, my UU family members, side with love for me. I support OBUUC with my financial support because of you. We all have to do what we can to keep our family healthy and vibrant. We have bills to pay, salaries for the staff who inspire us, rent for a building that allows us to come together on our spiritual quest, outreach like the Love Pantry that lifts up our downtown neighbors, a responsibility to our denomination, the UUA, that spreads the important news of Unitarian Universalism into the world. I support OBUUC with my time and skills because of you, engagement. I've served on almost every committee, membership, RE, stewardship, support of the minister, and I've participated in many events. This is how you became my family. OBUUC has been my life for all these years because of you. The love, compassion, inspiration, challenges, role models you have given me, support and sustain me. OBUUC gives me the peace I need to recharge and the unrest to act. Olympia Brown Unitarian Universalist Church has generously given to me. It's important that I and you give generously to OBUUC. It's changed my life. I and you must ensure that this opportunity remains for all. Give generously and engage be a gem. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ruth. The offering will now be given and so gratefully received. Part of being in community is sharing our joys, sharing our sorrows, sharing our lives with one another. And we do this in so many ways throughout the week. Sometimes it's a phone call, sometimes it's a request sent to an email list. On Sundays, we light candles and check in with one another. In this sacred space that we have created for and with each other, I invite you to come forward and light a candle, or if you would like to share your joy or sorrow out loud, to raise your hand, and we'll bring the microphone to you with a reminder that we are online when we share, and an invitation to practice sharing what is on your heart, what is yours to share this morning. So I invite you forward now to light a candle, or if you would like to share aloud, we can bring the microphone to you.
Mike Root here, and it's a joy to have Jan Fredrickson back in her role as usher. Thank you, Jan.
Hi, Mary Beth Sulkey. I'd like to invite you all to the Black Arts Council dinner and fundraiser on February 3rd, Saturday. It's going to be at Tacovin. I would love to see more white people there and to show that UU is happy to have an involvement with the Black community. April Harris is sponsoring it, and Racine Women for Racial Justice and the Black Arts Council. And if anyone would like a ticket or to join me, I would be happy to have you at my table. Thank you.
we will light one final candle for the joys and sorrows of the beloveds that are joining us online. And will you join me now in sung response? There is a love. The words are in the order of service.
Our reading this morning is entitled Wrestling Like Jacob by Sean Parker Dennison. Spirit of life and love, today I wrestle with angels. Perhaps, like Jacob, I will win this fight. But I know full well that nothing is without cost. I will be changed by this struggle. I will never be the same. Today, I open my heart to that mysterious beauty we call love, and try to comprehend its stubborn, grandiose vastness. It has taken at least half a lifetime to welcome such love into my own life, to accept that I'm wholly and relentlessly loved, regardless of my faults and errors, and I will forever be loved this extravagantly. Never, never will love fail me. But even more, love will never fail. Today, I struggle to stretch myself so that I can hold, even for one brief moment, a vision of love that fails no one. A love that can redeem the irredeemable, comfort those whose suffering appears beyond comfort, and when rejected, grow ever more vast, ever more patient, ever more ready to forgive. In struggling to know how this unfathomable love, may my heart be stretched and opened, making room for more love, even more love.
Trey Turner was quite a catch for the Philadelphia Phillies. The team and the Phillies fans expected really great things from him during their 2023 baseball season. In his first 4 months, however, his batting average had dropped, and during a game against the Marlins, he went 0 for 5, and as author Scott Allen explains, he couldn't even handle a sharp ground ball that would have been the final out in an eventual 9-8 loss to the Marlins. Trey Turner shared with reporters that he knew he was the reason they lost the game. Throughout the beginning of the season, when he wasn't performing as well as expected, he was booed constantly. He was booed at away games, he was booed at home games, he was booed by fans of the team for not living up to their hopes and expectations that everyone had for this season. After the loss to the Marlins, Philadelphia radio producer Jack Fritz suggested that at the next game, people give Turner a standing ovation. He said, quote, "Let me just say this. It can't hurt. And what if it does work? It's a good moment for the ballpark, a good moment for the city. You see the crowd rise up and it turns into a little bit of a moment. And even if Trey doesn't start going off or whatever, think about what it does for the rest of the team. They know we got their back. He continues that sometimes tough love is necessary, but in his words, sometimes brotherly love is necessary. This is the time for that love. Time for that for Trey. Stand with Trey. The night of the next game, when Trey Turner stepped up to the plate, he received a long-standing ovation from the crowd, and it started a 10-game hitting streak. What if it does work? When something isn't going our way, when it isn't going how we think things should go, it is so tempting. Ooh, it's so tempting to think about who we could possibly blame. Whose fault is it? I'm going to say you. Your fault this time. Is that all right? And then, if we can get people on our side, even better. Right? There's a sense of unity. I know we're laughing because we're like, ooh, been there, right? There's a sense of unity, a sense of defining ourselves by what we are not, strengthening our own identities, and creating a seemingly impossible, different other. And this is happening everywhere right now. Everywhere we look, right, politically, as we head toward another presidential election. But it happens here too, doesn't it? It happens in our lives. It happens when we're stuck in traffic. It happens as we describe our church, by what we are not, rather than by what we are. Right? How do we strengthen our identities, our understanding of our place and role as a faith community based on who we are, what we hope for, the good we are doing? And I know someone who had some really great advice for us on this. You may recognize the name, the Reverend Olympia Brown. In 1920, here in Racine, she offered these words: every nation must learn that the people of all nations are children of God and must share the wealth of the world. You may say that this is impracticable, far away and never be accomplished. She continues, but this is the work that universalists are appointed to. Universalists somehow, somewhere must teach this ever great lesson. We are not alone. There is always an unseen power working for righteousness. The infinite is behind us. She continued, this is the message I bring you today. Stand by this great faith, which the world needs and you are here to proclaim. And here in Racine, we may illustrate the great principles of our faith by our charity, by our kindness, our consideration for all. We shall speak the language of universal love, and it will be heard, and the message will be carried far and wide. She could be saying that to us right now in this moment, right? It was this universal understanding of love that was at the center of our Universalists' ancestors' faith tradition. This past Monday was a day to celebrate the life and work of Martin Luther King Jr., and he spoke a lot about love, what love means, what love looks like, what love is, and what love is not. The passage, Matthew chapter 5, verse 44, but I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. In his sermon titled, Loving Your Enemies, know that that is a hard call. He writes, I am certain that Jesus understood the difficulty inherent in the act of loving one's enemy. We should be happy that he did not say, like your enemies. It is impossible, almost impossible to like some people. He continued, like is a sentimental and affectionate word. How can we be affectionate toward a person whose avowed aim is to crush our very being and place innumerable stumbling blocks in our path? How can we like a person who is threatening our children and bombing our homes? This is impossible, right? To like. But Jesus recognized that love is greater than like. He is speaking of understanding and creative goodwill for all. That's what we're talking about when we say we are held in love, understanding and creative goodwill for all. Or as Wilda C. Gaffney wrote, who's a Hebrew biblical scholar and Episcopal priest, right? The call to love enemies is a call to love those from whom we are separated by societal and cultural structures like race and class and gender. Enemies are just the most extreme example of the radical limitless of our love. The radical limitlessness of our love, this universal love, the love that Jeff shared in our reading, the kind of love that fails no one, to be forever loved this extravagantly, a love that can redeem the irredeemable, comfort those whose suffering appears beyond comfort. When we talk about our values with love at the center, this is the kind of love we mean. If worship is, as author and process theologian Robert Mesley describes, if worship is to center our lives around something, right? To see it as the proper focus of our ultimate commitment, if that's what we do when we come together, right? To center our lives around something, to see it as the proper focus of our ultimate commitment, then maybe this kind of love, living knowing this kind of love, feels worth centering. Our Unitarian Universalist Association is working on changing the bylaws. Article 2, which includes the principles and the purposes. Again, sign up, hang out with Leanne and I. We're going to talk about it. But it reads, the Unitarian Universalist Association will actively engage its members in the transformation of the world through liberating love. The transformation of the world through liberating love. Sounds a bit like what Olympia Brown was telling us. This liberating love. So what about liberation? Liberation as a theology emerged in the 20th century, and as described by authors Stacey Floyd Thomas and Anthony Pinn, it offered a call to religion. This is liberation theology, a call to religion that the goal, the practice of faith, should be to transform social existence for equality for all. The religious faith demands struggle against political injustice. Liberation theologies are often contextual and tied to lived experiences of the concrete communities. So Latin American liberation theology with Gustavo Gutierrez, or James Cone's Black theology of liberation, Alice Walker and womanist theology, Marcella Athas Reed and LGBTQ theology. There are many, each with unique insights and inspirations, with a focus on justice and equity as a religious call. That's our work to do. So a liberating love at the center of a faith tradition says what we are for. The transformation of our society to be beloved community as defined by that work that our eighth principle is doing. Beloved community happens when people of diverse racial, ethnic, educational, class, gender, abilities, sexual orientation come together in an interdependent, we need one another. in an interdependent relationship of love, mutual respect, and care that seeks to realize justice within the community and in our broader world. So this is all well and good, right? But how do we live this? How can we practice a piece of this? This is idealistic and lofty and worth centering our worship around, but what do I do with this tomorrow? Thank you so much for asking. What a great question. How can we practice? How can we view the world if we are centered in this love? So I invite you to try this with me in the next week. This idea of looking through the lens of love. Perhaps this is speaking compassionately with one another. This particular practice coming to us from the YouTube series, The School of Life, shares that sometimes, not always, but sometimes we have the strength to look at people through a different lens. We have the strength to look at people through this lens of love. We can understand that their reality is far more complicated and nuanced than we may think at first glance. And our first instinct may be to boo that person, to call them names, to say, this is just how they are, I'm done. But if we look through the lens of love, we may be able to find something different. So if we use a very simple example, if we return to our baseball player who isn't playing as well as the team had expected, first we are invited to use our imagination, right? Why might someone have done this? Why might someone react or respond in a specific way, right? Something in their lived experience, the experience of the world, is shaping a response to this moment. So for our baseball player, perhaps our first thought is that they haven't been practicing enough, or they're not focusing on the game, right? If we use our imagination, what else could be happening for our baseball player? Right? Maybe they have been ill. Maybe the pressure is overwhelming. Maybe a family member is sick. The player is distracted. How do we use our imagination? Right? Next, to try to be patient in the face of unimpressive behavior. Can we be patient with one another as we are looking through the lens of love? Right? Don't conclude that the action, that way of being, is all there is to a person. No one is all good. No one is all bad. Unfortunately, it's never that simple. So we may want to think about our baseball player that he's just become irredeemably terrible, right? We wasted a lot of money trying to sign him, instead of all of us having moments of success and moments of struggle. Where is he on that journey? How could we love and support that player? And so they cheered and offered him that standing ovation, right? The lens of love invites us to see the many sides of a person. For example, we may see someone who is uncompromising, right? But we may forget their thoroughness and their honesty. We may know a person's messiness, but forget their uncommon creative enthusiasm. We can all do our best to remember that a person without growing edges doesn't exist, right? Each of us have areas to work on, areas where we can grow, and to try our best to remember that there is no such thing as a wholly, completely, irredeemably bad person. It's not that simple, right? There is no one outside the circle of love. There is no one that love that our universalist ancestors, that our tradition is calling us to practice centering. There is no one outside of that love. But there is pain, and there is suffering, and there is anxiety. And sometimes we may or those that we are interacting with may react or respond from these hurt places. So invite us all to practice it this week, right? I know I could use some practice as well. Practice this, looking through the lens of love. And maybe see if when you look in a mirror, when you look at yourself in a mirror, can you look back at yourself through this lens of love? What if it does work? The people of conscience never left the house. They never ran away. They stayed and they came together and they did the best they could, clasping hands and moving toward the corner of the house that was the weakest. That love is strong, even to withstand the storm and keep on moving forward. Olympia Brown finished her sermon, "Dear friends, stand by this faith. Work for it and sacrifice for it. There is nothing in all the world so important as to be loyal to this faith which has placed before you, which has placed before us the loftiest ideals." And wow, do they feel lofty sometimes? The loftiest ideals, which has comforted you in sorrow, strengthened you for the noble duty, and made the world beautiful for you. She continues to not demand immediate results, but rejoice that you are worthy to be trusted with this great message, and that you are strong enough to work for a great true principle without counting the cost. Go on finding new applications of these truths and new enjoyments in their contemplation, always trusting in that which ever lives and ever loves. Never, never will love fail us. But even more, love, this love centered in our tradition, this love calling for liberation, this love asking us to live into what is possible, building and being the beloved community, this love will never fail. Amen and blessed be. I invite you now to rise in body and spirit. Join in singing hymn 35 in your gray hymn book, "Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire." 34, hymn number 34, "Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire."
We extinguish our chalice, but not the light of this community. That light cannot be extinguished, for it lives in each of us, reminding us that we are connected and held always in a larger love.
In celebration of that connectedness, please do join us for coffee hour in Erman Hall, just down the hallway to the right for coffee and homemade bread and some other such treats. So, our worship is over. Our service begins. Thank you. Thank you for sharing this time with one another. May you go forth knowing that you are loved. Go forth sharing the spirit of love and light with those you meet until we begin again. May it be so.